So you want to stand out on Instagram, and let's face it, there are tons of accounts out there taking beautiful photos, and it can be a little daunting. Whether you're starting a business account and you just want it to look really professional, or whether you want to be a social media influencer, or maybe you're a photographer and just want to take your account more seriously, then these tips are for you. So let's keep it quick and dirty and give you guys 3 ways that you can make your account stand out on Instagram and some of the apps that I use to get there. Use borders or unique ways of cropping and sizing your photos. I'm gonna show you guys a couple of accounts I can use as examples here. So the first is Laura Zelenga's, and she actually will take one panoramic photo and kind of splice it up into 3 sections to look like one big long photo on her page. Or occasionally she'll take 3 different photos and kind of make them part of a series. So she'll have 3 photos beside each other. The next account I'm gonna show you guys is @sleepingplanes. So what he does is he uses white borders all around his photos to give his whole account kind of a unique layout, which I think is really cool to look at actually. If you're not sure how to achieve either of these effects or the borders in particular, apps like InstaSize make it super easy. All you have to do is make sure your photos are a 4:5 ratio first with the long side vertical, and then you just have to hit InstaSize square and then you're done. So with the next photo, all you're gonna do is make sure the ratio is again 4:5, but this time you're gonna make sure the long side is horizontal, and then hit InstaSize square again, and then you're done. So basically just alternate this until your feed starts to look like Jeremy's. And if you want to achieve a similar effect as Laura, then all you have to do is make sure that each photo is a 4:5 ratio and then post 3 at a time. Pretty simple, and you can resize them all on InstaSize as well. Build creative and engaging stories. Me personally, I love stories. The way that I use them is to either give a recap of my recent trip or adventure or something like that, or I'll use them as a means to let my audience know when I've posted a new photo or a new YouTube video, for example. Some of you may know Alan Palander, or Jesse Driftwood, or Hello Emily, and to me, these are all people and accounts that are using stories to their full storytelling potential. Stories are an amazing way to get creative with different fonts and effects, and by all means, if you're a Photoshop pro, then you can 100% build your own templates there. But for those of us who are beginners and maybe not so good in Photoshop, here are some apps that I like to use to kind of level up your stories. Some of the apps I use are HypeType, for example, which is really great for adding some animated text to photo or video. Unfold, which actually has many different options of templates to just pop in a photo and pop in some text right there, and you can export everything as a complete story or just by page. But if you really want to keep things simple and keep everything to one app, then probably InstaSize would be your best option, because you can resize your photos, you can add those borders, you can do actually retouching and photo editing and add filters and build stories, add text, do all of that, even with video, all in one app. So I think that's a really great option. So for example, here are some of the stories that I've actually made in InstaSize. But the most important thing to remember with stories, I think, is to just tell a story. So if you're on a trip and you have something special you want to share, or a little story or something that happened that day, posting that in your stories is a great way to do that. And actually taking some of those photos that you took throughout the day of little details and things that were special to you that wouldn't necessarily go into a full Instagram post, that's a great thing to actually post to your story. Keeping your colors consistent on your feed. So I know I've mentioned this before in other videos, but it really is so important to having that feed look cohesive. And if you're one of those people that likes to edit photos on your desktop, or you use Lightroom or Photoshop, then by all means build your presets there. But if you're trying to keep things simple, like I know some of you are, and you're not a photo editing guru, because not all of us are, it really does make it simpler to keep everything to an application on your phone, for example, and use some of those built-in filters and use some of those retouching tools that are available within that app. One really great part about InstaSize that I love is that you can actually choose from all of their filters, and then you can apply that same one to any photo you're gonna put into your grid, and then preview what it's going to look like on your Instagram grid before you actually post it to see if you like how it looks. So just as a fun little experiment here, I actually populated this grid all with photos that have no filter on them whatsoever, and I just pulled them from like Pinterest and random places online, and I'm going to show you before with no filter and after I've applied the same filter to all the photos. So here's before I've applied the filter to all the photos in the grid, and here's after with the exact same feed and now I've applied a filter to all these photos, and I'm just rearranging them slightly to see how I actually want them in what order, to see how it looks as an entire grid, because that's the great part about this, is you can actually plan this out ahead of time. Pick colors and a theme that is uniquely you, and then stick to them, because people are going to come back because they know what to expect from you. So in a way, this consistency is actually what's going to make you stand out on Instagram. It doesn't always have to be super complicated to edit great photos and to make great Instagram stories if you're not a designer and you're not a photographer. I do want to thank Instasize for partnering with me on today's video, because I honestly used their app a ton when I started out on Instagram, and it just kept everything really easy for me. When I was a beginner, everything is all kept to one app, which I think is super cool. So if you want to check it out, the link is in the description box below. And honestly, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a like down below, subscribe if you're not already, and hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.